There it is, a huge day for us Halloween Horror Nights fans, as we now have all 10 houses, 5 scare zones and entertainment officially announced for Halloween Horror Nights 32.
Not only did we get the full lineup, we also have a food preview for some of that delicious Halloween Horror Night food, as well as some merch and what we can expect to see in Cabana Bay. Enough talking, let's give a rundown of everything announced, including our thoughts. Let's get into this.
First off, let's begin with the houses. So we obviously already had 3 houses announced, first of all Chucky, but we do want to talk about that in more detail as it's not what we expected. Then we got The Last of Us, and then Stranger Things 4, so just hearing these IPs alone is shaping up to be a great event.
The first house that was announced today was The Exorcist, not the original but the new Blumhouse film coming in October. Now this is a bold move as we have no clue what could be inside and we can only guess from the trailer that was released. We also got to find out what happens to the final victim in the Scream Squad video series. We will put it in now if you haven't seen it already. The only other information we have about this is what Horror Nights said on the website. 2 missing girls have been found with no memory of what happened to them, but wherever they went, the ultimate evil has returned with them. Enter the most terrifying scenes from the new Blumhouse film. After the film was released, it might change the way that people feel about this house, but we won't get to experience it after it's released, so we can't comment.
Yep, that's right, we did get the CHUCKY announcement last October, but not much information was given, just that we thought it'd be based on his new TV series. But the description about the new house says, Chucky, the serial killer doll, is back for a new gore fest. He's hijacked his own haunted house with all kinds of bloody hijinks. You and your friends must try to survive his ultimate kill count. So this sounds like that it might not be following the storyline of the show, but the storyline of how Chucky has created a haunted house and he's going to try and take us out in his own twisted ways. By saying ultimate kill count, it's like he's trying to reach a high score in the video game, but we are the score. And we all know Chucky loves a kill count. Next!
Bonjour, qu'est-ce qu'on a ici? Universal Monsters Unmasked is the 3rd house announced today. The setting of the Paris catacombs will be terrifying, and we know that a lot of people are going to be excited for this one. The house description is, descend into the Paris catacombs where you and your squad will face a new horde of monsters. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Phantom of the Opera, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and the Invisible Man. We are especially excited as these beloved characters are rejoining us again after some frights, and some haven't appeared for a long time, so it's good to see them return.
Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Originals is the next house to be released. This house will give us some more backstory to the character we don't know much about. We will get to experience his carnival and maybe get to see Jack. The house's description says, you won't be able to resist going inside Dr. Oddfellow's menacing menagerie of twisted oddities, but the price for you and your friends is steep, the cost of your souls to feed his immortal power. Now, as we know, Oddfellow is playing a huge role in this year's event, and told to be this year's icon. He is mentioned in all the scare zones, which we will talk about later. Universal has also released a podcast if you want to know more about his backstory.
Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate is the next house based on the old B&M inverted coasters in Islands of Adventure. It'll be very interesting to see how they can expand the story of Dueling Dragons, and how they make this into a horror night house. We are told by the description, 2 warlocks of great power were turned into dragons after trying to take Merlin's spellbook. Now you and your friends are caught in their epic battle. You must choose a path and a victor. We think it may be unlikely, but we want this to be a choose your own path sort of house, and you'll have to choose which wizard you are going to side with. It may also be like last year's Monsters house, in where every cast change there's a different victor.
The next house is Yeti Campground Kills. We are told, you and your friends are about to venture into a 1950s campground overrun by huge menacing yetis who rip apart anyone who gets in their way. You must flee to the ranger tower to escape. This house sounds like a gory but fun sort of house, where we can expect to be encountering yetis from every angle. We also think the inside may look like how last year's Dead Man's Wharf Winter's Wake Lighthouse is forced perspective to look far away, and that in this house we can see a ranger tower off in the distance as we run for our lives along to some eerie 50s music.
The penultimate house is called The Darkest Deal, and the description is, blues musician Pine Straw Spruce will have to face the music after meeting with the collector and trading his soul for musical glory. You and your squad learn the terrible price of fame. Here we may see all sorts of voodoo and dark magic from this person known as the collector, as we see Mr. Spruce going through the torment of his own greed for stardom as the scenery gets darker and more twisted.
Last but certainly not least for the houses, we have BLOODMOON Dark Offerings. This house is set around the early 1600s to the late 1700s. In a colonial era village, moon worshippers witness a blood moon at their fall festival. They take it as a sign to hunt down any non-followers, including you and your Scream Squad. This could be about witches and cults, as this was in the times that the witch trials took place. We can also see the ceremony taking place from the beginning and be caught intruding and having to escape from being sacrificed.
It's scare zone time. We have 5 scare zones to talk about, so let's get into it.
The first scare zone we have is Dr. Oddfellow's collection of horror. Dr. Oddfellow will lure you into Halloween Horror Nights with the promise of immortality. As he lifts up the veil on all horrors to come, you'll soon realise you may not even survive the night. This might be a combination of all the scare zones we have for this year. For example, we might have a few characters from each zone, or maybe Dr. Oddfellow himself will welcome us into HHN.
Next we have Dark Zodiac. Dr. Oddfellow has entered a dark dimension to harness the power of the Zodiac and live forever. He twists the signs into malevolent beings who foretell your doom. As his star rises, yours falls. Now this scare zone has actually been featured at a Halloween Horror Night event before in Singapore, so we can expect it to look like this but tied into the story of Oddfellow.
Our third zone for this year is Jungle of Doom Expedition Horror. Dr. Oddfellow ventured deep into the darkest jungle, performing horrific experiments on nature. Now his monstrous creations are running amok and are coming after you. As stated in the information, it has mentioned experiments on nature, so this zone could feature twisted animals turned monsters and could be quite scary.
Our next zone announcement we have is Vamp 69 Summer of Blood. At a 60s music fest in a small New York town, you'll jam to popular bands with fellow concert goers until Dr. Oddfellow unleashes vicious vampires on the audience. They're out for your blood. Now this sounds awesome, as we've had vamps before and know how loved these zones are. We can't wait to rock along to the music and meet the hippie vampires roaming the festival. This zone is going to be huge and it's located in New York and it's definitely going to impress.
Our final zone for this year is Shipyard 32, Horrors Unhinged. Enter a 1940s San Francisco shipping yard full of mysterious crates and cages bearing Dr. Oddfellow's symbol. Beware, his nightmarish oddities have now escaped, spreading fear and chaos in their wake. In this zone, we might see all sorts of mysterious creatures who have been warped into sea-like monsters. This zone, as well as the jungle zone, has bent trusses, which we think could hold some of these oddities in cages that will dangle over you.
So there we have it, all the scare zones for this year's event. It's really interesting how it all features Dr. Oddfellow and gives backstory to the character. We also have one returning show, Nightmare Fuel Revenge Dream, and Nightmare Fuel will do as Nightmare Fuel does, and will dance the night way with big effects and scantily clad performers.
Cabana Bay will also be returning with photo ops for guests that have a booking under any Universal hotel, and this is home to Chucky's Twisted Playground, where there are 5 different photo opportunities as well as specialty themed drinks at the Spooky Swizzle Lounge at Cabana Bay and the Spooky Sunset Lounge at Universal Endless Summer. However, you can get these cocktails at any Universal Resort hotel. As well as this for the hotels, there is also a photo op hunt that has some characters from Universal Monsters, and you can find these in the hotel lobbies. If you are going for the August previews, you can get some spooky food offerings called the Taste of Terror. This $159.99 package allows you to get some of the food and beverages early, as well as a souvenir light up cup, the new freestyle cup, and one digital download at Soundstage 33 where it will all take place.
So that's everything coming out for this year's Halloween Horror Nights. Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next spooky-ish video.